Okay, welcome to Chapter 8 Sales and Operations Planning. So, in this chapter, we're going to be looking at various plans of finding out how much to produce, how many workers to employ, and how much we are going to pay the employed workers, and the total cost. And this is called the planning portion of operations management. We're going to deploy about three different strategies. And of course, the fourth strategy is going to be not from the book, from a combination of these three. Okay, it can be. But we're going to be looking at three different strategies for sure as calculations. Now let's talk about what is an aggregate plan. An operations plan has got an aggregate operations plan. This aggregate operation plan is a plan for labor and production. Okay? The idea is to have multiple plans and find out which is the one which is the lowest cost. That's the idea. The sales and operation planning is itself a process. It helps the companies to have a better service, make sure that they have low inventories, shorten lead times for customers, and more importantly, stabilize their production rates. So for instance, if I'm going to assemble laptops in Dell, and I'm going to look at how to assemble these with the number of workers that I have, or how to assemble these products with variable workers. That means I'm going to hire more and more as we have to assemble more, or fire some people if I have to lessen the number of assembled laptops, that kind of a thing. That's the plan we are talking about. These are the aggregate level plans. So for instance, we have long range planning, medium range planning, and short range planning. Short range planning basically is order scheduling, warehouse receipt planning, and so on and so forth, or even daily workforce scheduling and all that. Medium range is basically the sales plan and an aggregate plan, which includes forecasting first, finding out the capacity next, and then finding out the sales planning, and then going with various different functions. The long range is more of a strategic capacity planning. Okay? The activities are in such a way that all we need to look at is an integrated effort of logistics, operations, finance, and everything else. We want to make sure that we are using the right number of people to produce or manufacture the number of units that is demanded. The long range planning is greater than 1 year. Intermediate range planning is from 3 to 18 months. And short range planning is daily or up to 6 months, or weekly and things like that. Aggregate plans often look at an optimal combination of production rate. Production rate is number of units completed per unit of time. That is the production rate. I have 300 laptops assembled in a day, 120 machines that are going to be delivered, and I'm going to clean up these 120 machines in an hour. Those are the production rates. Workforce level is the number of workers needed in a particular period. For a month, I need 40 workers. Next month, I need only 30. So I need to fire those 10 people. The next month, I need 60. So from 30 to 60, I need to hire 30 more people. So that is the workforce level that I'm talking about. The workforce level can be a constant one. That means I have 100 people and I'm going to use those 100 people all the time. Or it can be I'm going to be 100, I'm going to hire 10 for the next period, and I'm going to fire 10 and the next period. So it can vary also. The workforce can vary. I can also work with a very low workforce, constant low workforce. And if I need to, I am going to hire more people at whatever time. I can do that too. So there are different ways of looking into workforce level. The third one is the inventory on hand. How much inventory I'm going to carry. So if I have 400 units that I have in month of January and I make 300, so I have now 700 for this month. But my demand is 600. That means I'm selling 600. How many units I have left? Which is 100, right? So 700 minus 600 is 100. This 100 units I'm going to carry to the next month. And that becomes the beginning inventory for the next month. 100 becomes the beginning inventory for the next month. That is the kind of inventory I'm going to talk about. Another thing that we need to look at when I'm talking about production, that means the number of units. That means production rate times the workforce level. That is the production. So if I can make 4 units per hour and I have one person working for 1 hour, how many units I can make? You guessed it, it is 4. If I can make 4 units per hour and I have 2 people working, how many units I can make? Again, you guessed it, it is going to be 8 units. That's the kind of production we are talking about that we'll be using. Okay. For an aggregate planning, you might have demand forecast, and you might have so many periods that I need to look at. For instance, January, February, March, or week 1, week 2, or day 1, day 2, anything. That is the periods that I'm talking about. Okay. So the inputs to the production planning system can be the market demand, the economic conditions, the raw material availability, the competitors' behavior, external capacity, and so on and so forth, which are external to the firm. Internal to the firm, I need to have a workforce. I need to have physical capacities, that is machines and other things that I need. I need to have inventory levels, for instance, the raw materials, supplies, and so on and so forth. And I need to have certain activities required for production, the processes, cutting something, making a hole, drilling a hole in something, those kind of things. Those are the activities that I'm talking about in production. That is, these are all internal to the firm, whereas these are external to the firm. And that's what the planning for production is all about. Cost-wise, I'm going to look at basic production costs. If I'm going to make 200 units, how much it is going to cost me to make the 200? That has to be there in every calculation. Okay? Every calculation will have basic production cost. Then there are other costs. For instance, if I'm going to hold the inventory for the next month, that means my ending inventory is positive. I'm going to have cost of that because I'm going to hold that inventory. Okay. If I do not make X number of units, those are the back order costs. It's not yet completed. So I'm going to be having a demand and I'm going to produce less than that demand, so I have some back orders, and that is also going to cost me. There is also costs associated with the production rate changes. Okay, these are basically the costs. The cost also are going to be hiring of people, firing of people, and so on and so forth also. If I'm going to subcontract the job somewhere else, that is going to have subcontract costs. If I'm going to have overtime for my employees, I'm going to have OT costs too. I have full-time employers cost as well. I need to consider all these costs, okay, and come out with a plan, or 2 plans, or 3 plans. And then I should be able to compare these and find out which is the best plan that I can going to get. That is what is going to be done in this class. Production planning strategies have different plans, like I talked about. The first one is what is called a chase strategy. Here we are going to hire or lay off employees as the order rate varies. Stable workforce but variable work hours is another strategy. A level strategy is to maintain a stable workforce, putting out a constant output rate. A pure strategy uses one of these approaches. A mixed strategy uses any one of these approaches. Okay, so those are the different strategies. We're going to be talking about a few things here. One is a chase strategy. Match the production rate. We're going to have a production rate, and we're going to match the production rate by hiring and laying off employees. Then we have a stable workforce, but we are going to vary the number of hours worked through flexible work schedules and overtimes and things like that. That is the second strategy. The third strategy is a level strategy, where we have a stable workforce putting out a constant output rate. That might involve subcontracting and things like that. Okay, so these are the strategies that we are going to be working. So let's go ahead and start working on the problems next.